Welcome back to the Be Code by Tiffany, the podcast where we stop shrinking, stop settling, and we start becoming the boldest, healthiest, most authentic version of ourselves. I'm Tiffany Antosi, female empowerment and mindset coach. I'm also the creator of Flip the Switch technique and founder of the Be Code movement. This space is for the woman who has spent years being everything for everyone else while slowly abandoning herself in the process. The woman who kept pushing through, smiling through, proving through, until her body finally said, enough. And today, we're talking about something that I know deeply and personally: why self-abandonment paralyzes you. Not just emotionally and not just mentally, but physically too. Because eventually, what we refuse to acknowledge emotionally, trust me on this one, the body begins to carry. So if you've been feeling exhausted or disconnected, anxious, maybe overwhelmed, numb or stuck, or like you've lost yourself completely, this episode is for you. This episode of the Be Code was brought to you by my upcoming book, How to Become a Bitch and Live Happily Ever After. In this book, I reclaim bitch as an acronym. It's not about attitude, it's about freedom. And inside, I take you deeper into each of these 5 pillars, expanding them into a full journey back to yourself. This book is my heart, my story, and the framework that has helped countless women transform their lives. It comes out this year, but you don't have to wait. I created a free Be Code starter guide just for you. 5 pillars, 5 practices, 1 powerful shift, so that you can start stepping into your bold, independent, tenacious, confident, and honest self, which just happens to be the best version of you. It's yours at blossomlifeco.com/Be Code starter guide. Download it today and start living your Be Code. Self-abandonment happens every time you betray your own needs, your emotions, your intuition, boundaries, truth, or well-being in order to survive, keep the peace, gain approval, or avoid conflict, or even try to gain validation. And it looks like saying yes when your soul is screaming no, or staying in relationships that drain you or are toxic, or ignoring your exhaustion, or perhaps silencing your emotions. Maybe overgiving or overfunctioning, or here's one that I know so well, people-pleasing. Or performing strength while maybe you're secretly drowning. Or maybe convincing yourself that you're fine when you are absolutely not. And the most dangerous part of this is that most women don't even realize that they're abandoning themselves because we've actually been praised for it. We've been praised for being strong and holding everything together and sacrificing for the sake of ... But eventually, your nervous system keeps score. And what your body starts doing is it starts whispering first. So it might show up as fatigue or anxiety, insomnia, tension, or brain fog, maybe even headaches. And when we still don't listen, oh, that whisper becomes a scream. I want to be really honest in this episode because I know that someone listening really needs to hear this. I had spent years abandoning myself in ways that I didn't fully recognize at the time. I was carrying stress and some fear. I was carrying some pressure and definitely emotional pain. And I was carrying responsibility for everyone else. And like so many women, I kept functioning, even through some smaller health scares and through some emotional exhaustion and insomnia and anxiety, and even through some heartbreak and uncertainty. I kept pushing, and I kept trying to stay strong. But underneath all of it, my nervous system was drowning. I was living in a constant state of fight or flight. And what happened eventually is that everything came to a full circle moment. But what preceded was I started to have heart palpitations and heaviness in the chest. I felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. And then my blood pressure started to go up to extreme high levels where doctors were starting to get very concerned. And I thought I was having a heart attack. So I was in and out of hospitals and doctors' offices and trying to find some answer to why I was feeling this way. And then I got frozen shoulder. And I didn't just get one, I got two. And I don't know if any of you have ever had frozen shoulder, but having one is bad enough. But having two, you basically cannot do day to day tasks, can't even wash your own hair. It was really paralyzing. So it wasn't just anxiety. Like I said, it felt like a complete paralysis of my mind and my body, figuratively and literally, because my body no longer felt safe. And my thoughts were spiraling, and my nervous system felt hijacked. I felt so disconnected from myself. It felt like a misalignment, almost like every part of my body, they weren't aligned and they weren't acting with each other. They were all going against each other. But in that moment, I also realized something really profound. It wasn't just one stressful event that created this. It had come from years of abandoning myself, years of overriding my intuition, caring too much, years of staying hypervigilant, and years of surviving instead of truly living. My body had finally reached its limit. And as scary as that moment was, I also tell people it became my wake up call. So my breakdown became my breakthrough because healing didn't begin when I learned how to push through. Healing began when I stopped abandoning myself. Self-abandonment creates an internal paralysis because you become disconnected from so many things, like your truth and your needs and your emotions and your boundaries and your desires, your body and your intuition. Basically, what all that means is that you stop trusting yourself. And what happens when you stop trusting yourself, you start living in survival mode. And that's where I was living. And what happened when you live in survival mode, it creates so many health issues because it creates chronic stress and nervous system dysregulation, anxiety and burnout, emotional numbness, indecision. Oh, I was the queen of indecision. I couldn't even order something off the menu because I couldn't decide what I wanted. It also creates some fear and exhaustion. So what happens, you become frozen. And it's not because you're weak, but it's because your system has been so overloaded for way too long without safety and rest, self-care, true honesty with yourself, and without emotional release. I want to do an exercise with you to help you become self-aware of maybe where you've abandoned yourself. So I want you to pause and I want you to reflect honestly, and I want you to ask yourself, where in my life am I betraying myself to keep others comfortable? So maybe it's in a relationship. Maybe it's that you're lacking boundaries. Maybe it's that you're overworking or you're keeping silent when you should be speaking up. And sometimes this happens because we fear disappointing other people. Maybe it's neglecting your health, or maybe it's ignoring your emotions. And lastly, this is what happened to me, is that I constantly put myself last. So now I want you to place a hand over your heart and I want you to say to yourself, I no longer abandon myself for approval, survival, or love. I choose to return home to myself. And I want you to take one deep breath. And I want you to ask yourself, what is one small way that I can support myself today instead of abandoning myself? And here are some suggestions. Maybe it's just resting. Maybe it's saying no, drinking water, or asking for help. Maybe it's even just expressing some emotion like crying or laughing. Perhaps it's taking a walk or telling the truth to yourself or maybe even to someone else. And it's definitely honoring your emotions. So small acts of self-loyalty, what it does is it rebuilds your self-trust. Here's where we do the flip the switch moment. And this is where we interrupt the old programming. So if you haven't done this before, I'm a female empowerment and mindset coach. So what I do is I teach women and I guide them to learn how to flip their narrative. In other words, when a negative thought or self-sabotaging, perhaps limiting belief shows up, We need to flip the switch on it and we need to change it and interrupt that old programming. So if your mind says, I have to keep pushing, I want you to flip the switch to rest is productive when my body needs healing. But I don't want you to just say it. I actually want you to do it. So I want you to rest. Or if your mind says, I can't fall apart, flip the switch to feeling my emotions is part of healing. And then fall apart. Have that emotion. Or when your mind says, I have to carry everything alone, I want you to flip the switch to support is safe for me. But then I want you to go and ask for it or get it wherever you need it. Here's another one. When your mind says, taking care of myself is selfish because I don't have enough time, I want you to flip the switch to, no, taking care of myself is necessary. Oh, it's almost like filling your cup, right? You know about this. You can't fill others' cups until yours is filled. But I want you to understand something. The more consistently that you flip the switch and you change the narrative and you interrupt that old programming, the more you recondition your nervous system to feel safe again. And the more and more you do it, the more it becomes automatic. I have so many intentions for you for this episode because this is so true for so many women. So my intention for you is that you stop waiting until your body breaks down to finally listen to yourself. Don't get to where I got to, although I'm grateful that I had that breakdown because it was my wake-up call. I don't want you to have to get to that place. So I hope you begin honoring your emotions before they become physical symptoms. And I hope you stop glorifying exhaustion and think that you're being the powerhouse and you need to do everything. And I want you to start prioritizing peace. I hope you realize that your body is not betraying you. Your body is for you, but you have to be for your body as well. And your body is always communicating with you. It's just that we choose not to listen. We choose not to listen to the little signs, the little whispers, like I said. But if you don't, you're going to get the scream that I got. And then you end up in doctors and hospital offices. And I hope you begin rebuilding the relationship with yourself that stress, fear, survival, and self-abandonment may have disconnected you from. Because healing begins the moment you stop leaving yourself behind and by putting yourself first. Okay, to wrap it all up, I'm going to give you some key takeaways that hopefully will stick with you. I want you to understand that self-abandonment is not strength. Ignoring yourself is definitely not empowerment. And your body keeps score. So chronic emotional suppression eventually impacts the nervous system and your body. Survival mode creates paralysis. Mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion are signals. They're not failures, and they are to be listened and taken care of. Healing begins with self-loyalty. So what we do is we create tiny acts of honoring ourselves. And what that does is that rebuilds our trust and safety. And it does that internally because you deserve to feel safe within yourself. Peace is not something that you earn through suffering. Peace is something that you gain by prioritizing yourself and not abandoning yourself, by ignoring your trust, your intuition, your voice, your body, your boundaries, or anything else that you've been ignoring. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with another woman who may be silently carrying too much. And remember, you definitely don't have to abandon yourself to be loved, and you do not have to break yourself to prove your worth. You are allowed to choose yourself before your body is forced to choose for you. And this is the Be Cut by Tiffany. And until next time, keep becoming the woman who finally comes home to herself. Thank you. So I hope you tune in and join me every other week to get your dose of truth, empowerment, and perhaps a gentle nudge to become the woman you were always meant to be.